This is the Troll Patrol. Live. With Justin. Freakin.
Welcome to the Troll Patrol. Live. I mean incest. I literally mean incest, Warlord. I'm sorry. For those of you who think that might be a typo, no. We're going to talk about Dr. Oz and incest. Incest tonight. Jimmy Freakin made her always cracking me up. Warlord, good evening. Who else is in here? I'm sure RB's in here somewhere, getting ready to tell me weed. I'm going to preempt him. That might not be true. Sometimes RB is like, I'm catching up 20 minutes later. Weed. Welcome to the Troll Patrol. No, I already did that part, didn't I? What part am I on? On the part where I show you guys the meme? No, we haven't gotten to that yet. This is just me shitting around, isn't it? Had a bunch of people trolling me on Twitter today, so I went and just commented the link to the show. We'll see if anybody comes by. I've got the phone lines open, 917-830-4359. I haven't said that in so long, I almost forgot my own phone number. Some dumb fucks actually think that's my phone number. That is not my cell phone. That is, people are like, I'm going to call your number all day long. Go for it. Waste your fucking time. I don't look at it until 8 p.m. Eastern. Oh, Nicole. Just dumb fucks trolling me. I've been called a groomer multiple times today on Twitter. Because some dude was all upset about the Biden speech. He called half the country fascist. No, he didn't. You're lying. And then, once I pointed out he was lying multiple times, it just got to where, he called me a groomer. At least 20 times, 25 times. He's probably permanently suspended from Twitter at this point in time. I would say that the vast majority of Republicans are indeed fascist, but apparently I'm alone in thinking that. We're in the minority in thinking that. Tones, welcome. Good evening. Nicole, also, good evening. I love your face. Welcome. Exactly. Calling people groomers while voting for people like Matt Gaetz, Donald Trump. We got a really funny Trump story tonight. Apparently he tried to pay for a lawyer with a horse. What is it with rich people? Wasn't Elon Musk trying to get the woman to whore herself out for a horse, and now Donald Trump tried to pay for one of his lawyers with a horse? What in the fuck is going on? Conservatives on Facebook, or any social media for that matter, are they really laughing at me or for being stupid? No, I just triggered them. Dude kept calling me a baby today, and I'm like, nah, dude, I'm just making fun of how dumb you are. I called him a dumb fuck up and down the thread, and he got upset about that, and then he made jokes about me and called me autistic, and I was like, using autism as a slur is far more offensive than me calling you dumb fuck for you being a dumb fuck. The disconnect is astounding. And then the dude on Twitter that was all upset about Brandon calling him a fascist calls me a groomer a million times. I'm not lying. I have the receipts. His screen name was It's Go Brannon. It's Go Brannon. Graylio. We are indeed. I do not know what my cat's here. I do indeed have that on the rundown. A judge has barred an insurrectionist from the ballot, but I didn't put where it was at. I was gonna tell you the locality, but like I didn't write it on my notes. I'm sorry. One down, many more to go. Good evening, Ray. Welcome. Oh, it was in New Mexico. Coey Griffin. Let me show you. I actually put him on the thumb for the live show tonight because this picture is great. This motherfucker is riding on a horse. Also, I made Harry Styles spit on him. And if you don't know what all that's about, we're going to freaking. I used to have a hookah, Mater. I was a small one. It was a small one. I used to have a hookah. Like just like 2 months ago, I could have smoked out of a hookah. Yes, cancel Justin. I got Harry Styles spitting on what was his name again? Coy Griffin. Oh, this picture of him is great. Here, let me show you the original. He's got his American flag and everything. Look at this dumb fuck over here. Ah, this motherfucker. Get out of what Mater says. I'm a bong man. I'm a big bong man because like every time Sparkles wanted to always smoke out of the hookah, and I'm like, oh, okay, I'll smoke out of bongs. I'm kind of a bong guy. But yeah, this dude like, he was all over you. So you admit he called them fascist. I thought you said he didn't. That's my point. Debating is easier when the facts support your assertion. You probably haven't had that experience yet with your beliefs, which is hilarious coming from a dumb fuck right winger. Oh, Nicole, that's okay. Like, don't ever worry about that. Like, if I bring up some dumb fuck right winger and you don't know who that is, I am so happy that you didn't know who they were. But like, the dude cited the speech and Brandon said semi-fascist. He didn't actually say fascist. So I didn't admit that he called them fascists because he didn't. And he went way out of his way to say that it was only a portion of the Republican Party. See, I'm not a drag on it. I'm not like taking a drag at. Well, maybe if I was playing video games or something, I'm all like, I want to get blasted. Let me take some big ass bong rips and sit here blasted. Oh yeah, what are we talking about tonight on the show? We're gonna check in Ukraine, but only for one story, and it's at the ass end. An ape escaped a zoo. You're going to see when they were able to put a jacket on it because it started raining. It is so fucking cute. Of course, we're gonna have to talk about Harry Styles and Chris Pine. I don't know who Chris Pine is, but apparently Harry Styles spit on him. He didn't really, I don't think. But this is a debate on the internet. Everybody's debating whether Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine. Speaking of Chris Pine, apparently he is playing a character that is based on Jordan Peterson, and Jordan Peterson has feelings about it. As I alluded to before, Trump tried to pay one of his attorneys with a horse. At least a new book claims. We're going to hear from Liz Truss, the new Prime Minister of Britain. We're going to talk about the EU energy crisis that is looming. or they're smack dab in the middle of, depending on how you look at it. We're also going to talk about the future of COVID. Dr. Fauci is going to tell us what that is going to look like. Wastewater in South Africa indicating that a new wave might be on the way. Chinese lockdowns are underway. Is COVID getting ready to ramp up again? Also, the lockdowns prevented citizens from being able to flee a building during an earthquake, and that is tragic. I think we've got fucking footage of it. Also, we're going to touch on the devastation in Pakistan. I don't think most people realize how bad Pakistan got hit by the monsoon, how bad the flooding has been, how many, it's in the millions have been displaced. It is going to affect global cotton supplies. It's going to affect global wheat. Not only that, we have a looming migrant crisis on top of the migrant crises we've already been facing around the world. Manhunt continues in Canada. I do say that wrong on purpose, just before anybody. Oh, there are some things I just have a little quirk about saying wrong. Manhunt still underway in Canada, unless things have changed in like the last 30, 40 minutes. A manhunt is still underway in Canada for one of the stabbing suspects accused of stabbing and killing at least 10 people. Another 15 are in the hospital. Those were the numbers last tally I saw. One of the suspects is dead. I do want to update, I'm not doing this story tonight, but since I'm bringing this up at this time, I do want to correct myself. I love admitting when I'm wrong on stream. The story of the teacher in Memphis. I can't remember the name right now off the top. Elizabeth something. Eliza Farrell. That might be it, but I might be fucking it up. Don't hold me to that. Chat might be telling me, even though I'm not even looking at chat right now. So, she actually was abducted in a random act of violence. I had speculated, due to statistics, that most people are not assaulted by strangers. They are assaulted by people that they know. And the fact that she was a billionaire heiress, I kind of thought that maybe they had staged something. No, unfortunately, they found her body today. And this does look to be just a random act of violence. So I was completely wrong on that one. I'm sorry, Warlord. I didn't think the police shoot, your police shooting from Monday. That happens a gazillion times a day in the U.S. That is big news to you because that doesn't happen. It doesn't happen all the time. I believe he'd actually served time for abducting a woman before. So, in weighing the gravity of the stories, your little shooting, it's just I've probably got 10 stories like that I could have done today from the U.S. But we're gonna talk about old Liz Truss. Nicole, I agree with you. Liz probably won't last any longer than any of the other prime ministers. What's your bet, Warlord? Boris made it the longest of the recent ones since Tony Blair left. Has Boris been the longest tenured prime minister you've had? Am I correct on that one? He only lasted 2 years. David Cameron did 5. For some reason, I didn't think David Cameron was there that long. Gordon Brown wasn't there that long, right? He was under 2 years. For some reason, I didn't feel like David Cameron was there that long. Then we had Theresa May. Oh, Boris. Now we're up to Liz Truss. We're going to hear from Liz Truss, her first speech earlier today in front of Downing Street. It's actually the top story I got for you, Warlord. What do you think about that? New Prime Minister is a pretty big fucking deal, I think. What else are we talking about? Oh, yeah, Dr. Oz and incest. Also, we're going to cover conservative Democrats being against the Iran deal and trying to sink it. Joe Biden says everyone is entitled to be an idiot, and I kind of agree with you there, sir. Trump attacked John Fetterman as a drug user with zero evidence. Jamie Raskin is going to talk to us about how he would like to see Jenny Thomas and Mike Pence testify in front of the January 6th committee. We're also going to talk about the push to impeach Clarence Thomas. There was a additional piece of information that came out in the last few days about Jenny Thomas and her involvement in the fake elector scheme in Wisconsin. Plus, we have new video from Georgia. And Bill Barr says the appointment of a special master in the Trump FBI search was wrong. Warlord, don't insult the people of Alabama like that. They don't want Dr. Oz carpetbagging down there. But then again, Dr. Oz would probably be a better senator than Tommy Tuberville. Just saying. I don't have any evidence to back that up, but that's a gut feeling of mine.
Come on, man.
Let's hear from the new Prime Minister, Liz Truss.
Britain's new Prime Minister, Liz Truss, meeting with Queen Elizabeth today as she takes the reins from former leader Boris Johnson. Truss's rise to power comes amid the...
Do you have to go get the Queen's blessing before you assume office?
...middle of an economic crisis in the UK, and Truss addressed those concerns during her first major speech at Her Majesty's Balmoral estate. Let's take a quick listen.
We shouldn't be daunted by the challenges we face. As strong as the storm may be, I know that the British people are stronger. Our country...
This poor woman, there are a gazillion photographs of her, and none of them are flattering. Because, I didn't want to purposely seem like I was putting a bad-looking photo of her on my thumbnail. There's just not a flattering photo of her. She looks fine there. That would be a good photo. She looks fine there.
He was built.
And I hate to comment on your looks, ma'am. I really am. Congratulations on being Prime Minister.
Of energy and determination. I am confident that together we can ride out the storm. We can rebuild our economy. And we can become the modern, brilliant Britain that I know we can be.
For more, let's bring in Kate Andrews, economics editor at the UK magazine.
They are facing much higher inflation than we are here in the U.S., for those that are unaware.
To the helm here, the UK's Conservative Party appointing Truss now as Prime Minister. So what do you think? What are your thoughts as you have covered politics in the UK? What do you think of the public reaction? What do you foresee here, Kate?
She's the third female prime minister in the UK, so whilst of course it's very notable that she is a woman, to be honest, in the UK, that is not the most surprising or interesting fact about Liz Truss, and that's a nice thing, right, that we can actually look to her policies. There's a real sense of nervousness in the...
I follow Matt Gertz on Twitter, and it's hilarious. It is hilarious. And anytime some news comes out about Matt Gaetz, Matt Gertz is like, oh my God, what did he do this time? Please get out of my notifications. Oh, that account's great. I'm going to have to go find this Liz Truss. This Liz Truss account people keep mistaking.
in the UK at the moment around rising energy bills. The UK is experiencing a lot of the problems that the US is in terms of a tight labor market, but it's also experiencing many of Europe's problems, particularly rising costs in energy because of Putin's war. And families this winter are looking at paying thousands and thousands more pounds that many simply don't have in order to keep the heat on, which is why she said that was one of her main priorities. And there are big question marks about what will be announced this week. Prime Minister Truss is one of the more ideological politicians you're going to find. She has had a fervent commitment to free minds and free markets since she entered Parliament.
Yeah, that don't sound good.
And yet we could see her first and potentially one of her biggest decisions as Prime Minister to be to usher in what could be one of the biggest welfare packages that the UK has ever seen. And that would be to actually cap the cost of energy that households and businesses would pay, racking up tens, if not potentially hundreds of billions of pounds that taxpayers would eventually have to pay back. So I think you're going to see a tension between what we know she fundamentally believes, which is reducing the size of the state.
Why would I watch a panel that has a comedian on it? That would be like me competing against him. I'm the comedian around here, sir. I crack the jokes. Unless you guys are cracking the jokes. Sometimes you guys are way funnier than I am.
She wants to cut taxes and also potentially some very, very big spending plans that could be announced as early as this week.
And already we've seen workers go on strike, concerned about the economy and over economic issues. So besides the economy, what other challenges lie ahead for Truss, you think?
Well, no doubt she'll have been discussing them with Joe Biden today, and it will be, the major focus will be on what Russia is doing to...
Well, link me, Warlord. Everybody's like, all right, it's funny. Let's do it. Let's do it. Let's do it. Producer Warlord dropping the ball here. Link me up. Oh God, this again. Indeed, Dustin. And good evening, if I did not say good evening to you earlier. Okay, Warlord's looking. We'll let the economics reporter.
I have very little doubt that Prime Minister Truss will be anything but friendly to whoever finds themselves in the Oval Office during her premiership. She likes to refer to geoliberalism. That's her play on the phrase neoliberalism. She now views the world as a place where allies who have the same commitments that the US and the UK have to upholding the rule of law, to democracy, really need to come together in this moment. And so I think she's going to be extra friendly to people like Joe Biden because she understands that that allyship is more crucial now than ever before.
As for Boris Johnson, now out of office, do we have any idea what's next for him?
There's speculation that he'll be going back to writing. He was actually editor at The Spectator many moons ago. He's had columns throughout the years. He's a very talented writer. He is fantastic with his pen, and he has really inspired actually a lot of people through his writings over the years. Now, if you're a critic of Boris Johnson, trust me, there's plenty that you can pick out in what he's written to criticize, but there's definitely a sense that there's a book in his near future, potentially more columns, but at the moment,
geoliberalism.
And it should be pointed out that that could end up being a real headache for Liz Truss.
Mox, I love that. I love that term.
Of her throughout the campaign, he wanted Liz Truss to win over her competitor Rishi Sunak, but once he's
I mean they're talking about passing a package that would be one of the biggest in the country's history to cap costs and shit. It's more than we're doing. We're getting far more austerity over here. So I mean,
actually on the back benches. He is still going to have a lot of support, not just from fellow MPs, but from the Conservative.
So we are going to be talking about that energy crisis here in just a second.
His opinions are going to matter within the party, and if he decides to be very vocal about them, that's something Liz Truss is either going to feel like she has to listen to or put even more power into overruling, and that will be its own challenge, apart from all the other challenges in the economy facing her.
Before we let you go, real quickly, did I just get a little scoop here, Kate, that Boris may be heading back to The Spectator? You could be in the same newsroom with him, possibly?
Oh, no.
You better get the exclusive interview.
I suspect it won't be The Spectator where Boris Johnson is going back to, but I think we can certainly see more columns in his future.
Where do you guys see Boris Johnson ending up? A talk show? Interesting. Did you find the clip, Warlord? You teased us. You teased us. Ain't high enough for the shit. What was he, a newspaper writer or some shit? What was he before he got into Parliament? No, wait a minute. He was mayor. He was like the mayor of London, wasn't it? Did he serve as an MP? Or is being mayor of London his only claim to fame? I'm a dumb American. Columnist before politics. That makes perfect sense. He gave his fucking opinion. But I can't imagine he wouldn't want to be on TV or some shit. Host a talk show? Boris Johnson host a talk show? That'd be cool. I might watch that. True, Mox, true. He has a face for newspaper. Or face for radio. I was told that many times. No, I was actually told when I was on the radio, like, you're a good-looking guy. You can go to TV if you want. And I've spent the rest of my career cultivating a look that wouldn't make it on TV. I'm sure a book is coming at some point in time. I don't know that it'll be imminent. Maybe 2 or 3 years from now. Like I don't have a good gauge on what exactly is going on in the country. It might be one of those things where like Bush had to step away for a little bit, and then he can come out with his memoir and be, rehabilitated and go on Ellen and shit. So I don't know. Like, I don't think Boris is near as disliked as like Bush was when he was leaving office. Nobody's as disliked as Trump, but he's still fucking, pops up everywhere. Like the herpes. Said that Fetterman was on drugs, just with no evidence. All right, we're gonna talk about the RB. Welcome, Twitch Weed Indeed. Also, Cicero, welcome. I don't think I gave Mox a proper good evening either. Try to acknowledge everybody. Dustin, did I tell you I love your face? I'd hope Fetterman was on it. True. But he had a pacemaker put in, didn't he? He had a stroke, and then they put in a pacemaker? People are always talking about my views. Oh, you only average 5 views. We're talking about nerdy shit over here. I don't expect this to go mainstream. I'm not unboxing tennis shoes on this stream. Oh, I'm sorry. I just snorted. I'm trying to stop singing on stream, and I'm trying to stop snorting on stream. I snorted on Echoplex. Well, can you tell me like where like some good shit is? Can you be like, watch it here at 20 minutes in? Fuck it, Warlord. They're bringing me Mexican food. I'm gonna would make a perfect Halloween mask. Ah! That's great. I love that. However, Maynard was not impressed. Well, they only let me on in red light. Like you don't see me on the regular shows. They do indeed have standards for those. But when it's red light and then Dave's getting a little Steve, the standards drop a little bit. He gets a little Steve, and then Justin Freakin can bust in like the Kool-Aid Man. That's how it works. Did we even make it through all of Fire by Night last week? I went in there for Fire by Night, but I think he cut it off like halfway through. He's like, I'm done. And we watched something else. But we might have watched Fire by Night. We might have finished it. I do remember I sang along with the musical guest. Like, I ended up knowing one of his songs. Ooh. So it was a dude that wrote a song called My God is an Awesome God. What, Rich Mullins or something was his name? Not my cousin. And so he wrote the song, My God is an Awesome God. Totally sang along with it when it popped up. Because I was like, oh, God, I know this song. The dude was ejected. We looked it up. The dude was ejected from a car and went splat on a semi. Just a few years after the episode we watched. About 3 or 4 years later. His God was indeed an awesome God. Shit. See, RB's catching up at 2 times speed. Oh, fucking shit. It's a banger of a song. There are some Christian songs that are bangers. Don't let anybody tell you otherwise. They're few and far between, but there are a few. Like one of my favorite Christmas songs is "Mary Did You Know." Like you wouldn't think that like I'm into like one of the religious tunes, but nah, that song's a fucking banger. Jesus Freak. Jesus Freak is a hell of a good song by DC Talk. They've got a couple others, but I don't know the names of them. I really like I really like a couple of Jars of Clay songs. That one called Flood is really good. All right, so we got like 2 minutes of this talk show here where they're talking about Liz Truss.
What did you make of it? Now have you calmed down? She has to go from the campaign to the country, but tell us honestly what you thought.
Well, so you said earlier that I'm not left or right. I know that there's been criticism in the Mail on Sunday today about lefty, liberal, wokey comedians on the BBC. I'm actually very right-wing, and I loved it. I thought she was very clear. She gave great, clear answers. I know exactly what she's up to, and I think she's... most people watching at home who are worried about their bills are going to feel...
Point, Joe. Forgive me.
Man, he's even wearing the right colors for me to be like, right-wingers are morons. You want it on a yellow shirt. You can get a variety of different colors for your right-wingers or morons shirt. Hey, get it on black. I'm sure that's going to look good. Oh. That was sarcasm. Apparently, Warlord is informing me that was some dry British sarcasm. They put some brown sauce on that sarcasm. He's got this... Is that a pickle or a cucumber? Do you guys have cucumbers in England? Is that a thing?
I'm not being sarcastic.
They've got English cucumbers. Those weird-looking cucumbers, don't you? Fuck those cucumbers.
She said that there was a big package of help coming this week for people to...
Don't literally.
I think...
Fuck those cucumbers.
Exactly what's going to happen. I think you're reassured, I'm reassured. Are you reassured?
Well, Emily Thornbury,
so
you're smirking over there. Politics can be very, very unpredictable. I mean, let's look at 2 different opinions in the papers this morning. You have a columnist, Matthew Syed, who's basically predicting that it's going to be a nightmare and that the leadership contest has been out of touch with the country. But Janet Daly in The Telegraph says, look, actually, Liz Truss is stronger than you think. If she gets cracking, gets out there, she might be able to...
Janet. I think, the haters will say that you've had 12 years of the Tories and that...
So is he totally nihilistic about what's going on? Is that what it is?
We're sort of at the dregs of what they've got available, and that Liz Truss is sort of like the backwash of the available MPs. I wouldn't say that because I'm incredibly right-wing, but some people say that.
But the consensus, though, in politics is often wrong, right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's often wrong, and we often don't know what is going to pan out.
Yeah. Well, as Liz said there, she said it would be wrong to predict the future, even though loads of people have predicted that we're going to have real issues with paying our energy bills. But, you know, I think she's right to just sort of basically say, well, let's not predict and see what happens next week. I think she did the right thing there.
Well, let's talk about something. What did you...
Well, you know what? He set me up perfect talking about energy bills in Europe, specifically the EU.
But we are tracking some of the big swings in the energy market this morning, and that is where we're beginning our show here. We've seen natural gas sliding after Russia's state-owned Gazprom said the Nord Stream pipeline, a critical supply route for Europe, would remain closed indefinitely, citing maintenance issues. Meanwhile, Brent crude also falling despite a surprise outcut, or falling because of a surprise output cut from OPEC. This amid ongoing concerns over demand destruction and lockdowns in China. Joining us for more on all the energy moves today, Yahoo Finance's Inez Ferre.
But the... Because the angels talked to her and shit, so she did know that her baby boy would walk on water, and the blind would leap, the deaf would hear, and the dead would live again. Oh, fucking shit! That's right. She had visions from they foretold it. Dustin coming up with the debunking of the song "Mary, Did You Know?" Anyway, there's an energy crisis going on in Europe. I'm so sorry. I don't mean to laugh at the people of Europe who really are facing high energy bills. I'll let the Yahoo Finance thing play.
This is all news that came out on Monday. Obviously, the market's playing a bit of catch-up today.
RB, it's like a Tuesday, dude. It's like a fucking Tuesday. How you think a Tuesday is Saturday?
Yeah, that's right. And we are really seeing a sort of economic war between Europe and Russia because of that pipeline that you were just mentioning. Russia won't reopen that pipeline unless sanctions against Russia are lifted. So, of course, this is making the energy crisis even worse when it comes to Russia. You also have a headline coming out of OPEC Plus of a production cut of 100,000 barrels per day. This is a little bit more symbolic than anything else. It is a little bit of a snub towards Europe and also President Biden. But look, if Russia falls into a recession, and there are many experts that say that Russia is already in a recession, well, if it does, then OPEC Plus would be to blame for not increasing production, and also Russia because of this natural gas issue. Now, of course, also, if Europeans are paying sky-high prices for their energy and for their food, then you can expect that they're not paying for discretionary items. So this would impact China and China goods, Chinese goods. So oil demand would come down. It would be demand destruction, really, if Europe goes into a full-blown recession.
Well, and you mentioned, the potential snub to
depression.
Obviously, when they increased the output last month, it was sort of seen as sort of a, hey, the White House, after the visit to Saudi Arabia, we've sort of listened to you. But there are questions as well about whether, in fact, is OPEC seeing what's on the horizon.
That's exactly right, Moggs. That is exactly right. Thank you for leading into my next story. Pretty much all economists agree that the U.S. will enter a recession end of this year, sometime next year. Just because of the conditions around the world, because everything is so heavily interlinked.
The US to go into a recession by early next year. Others warn growth in the housing market will completely stall amid what the National Association of Realtors
has already dropped. The housing market has dropped.
The National Desk, Ryan Smith reports.
More mixed economic messages this week, but one thing many economists agree with, the expectation of a recession in the next year.
inflation is always caused by excess growth in the money supply, turning the printing presses on.
Economist Steve Hanke telling CNBC this week that trillions in federal pandemic relief is driving higher prices and will be responsible for what he calls, quote, a whopper of a recession in 2023.
Starting with COVID in February of 2020, we had an unprecedented growth in the money supply in the United States, and that is why we are having inflation now.
Almost 3/4 of business economists surveyed earlier this month say the U.S. will be in a recession by the middle of 2023. The U.S. is already in a housing recession, that according to the National Association of Realtors, and Goldman Sachs warning Tuesday that it expects home prices.
The trillions that Congress gave to Wall Street. I hate it when they bitch about the checks that they send out to everyday people and not the trillions that they gave to Wall Street. Indeed, Merkin.
2023.
I do think that we're going to go through a painful, volatile period here.
Despite these warnings, consumer confidence ticking up this week and new employment data showing strength. Almost twice as many open jobs than there are workers. Normally good news, but instead causing worries for the Federal Reserve as it tries to lower inflation and avert a recession.
While higher interest rates, slower growth, and softer labor market conditions will bring down inflation, they will also bring some pain to households and businesses.
Now, back on the housing front, home prices declining last month for the first time in 3 years, but are still way up from just a year ago, rising in mortgage rates driven by the Fed's rate hikes, pricing many would-be buyers out of the market.
Now, let's see if I'm presenting to you a harbinger of what is to come, and if this recession might be coming sooner than they are expecting. Reading from the San Francisco Standard, San Francisco braces for epic commercial real estate crash. Imagine a slow-moving train coming towards you. The lights are shining, the horn is blaring, but it's just far enough in the distance that the risk doesn't seem real just yet. Oh shit. That's a fitting enough analogy for the state of San Francisco's commercial real estate market, which is tilting towards a collapse in property values, which it probably fucking needs, leaving the city, its budget, and its ability to provide services tied to the tracks. The root of this, of course, is the pandemic and the way that it has completely transformed work patterns in the city, hollowing out a downtown core that once accounted for most of San Francisco's GDP. 70% of its sales tax revenue and 40% of its city's jobs. And there's an uneasy feeling among a coalition of business groups that the city leaders are sleepwalking into an economic calamity with far-reaching consequences. Commercial real estate all over the country is going to do exactly this. But now, once again, the job market is good for us, the workers, right now. This could be a really weird recession that we go into where it's not really going to affect us. Now, gigantic companies are cutting jobs. And smaller businesses are hiring, and that's a good thing. Good things are happening in the economy. So, any urban center that was dependent on office space rentals for revenue, which is pretty much all of them, because they've gutted their downtowns. Almost every city in the country let Walmart come in and build a strip mall just outside of their city and put in a GameStop and a Goodies and a Lowe's and a McDonald's. And not necessarily that Walmart put those things in, but they naturally huddle around a McDonald's. You get a Quiznos and a blah, 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 like just all kinds of shit just gloms on to the Walmart. And it sucks the business traffic out of your downtown. I want landlords to get wrecked. I don't want to see small restaurants go under. That's my thing. But if workers have power and workers still have money through this, Like, this is just like we are in for like a really weird time. I've been showing you guys all the different financial news, but like our position seems strong. It seems like, this is a correction of some shit that should have happened years ago. But I mean, there's bound to be consequences downstream for us. Some people may get laid off from jobs at big corporations and find themselves at better jobs. I mean, like, you gotta give them a reason to come downtown for your Christmas shopping. And you also, like, fucking towns don't really, like, they're not hubs for activity anymore. And like when they talk about revitalizing their downtowns, they just gentrify it and they put in overpriced, cheap fucking housing, and they bring in usually fucking chain restaurants. Or they'll try a casino. Fucking my hometown put a hotel downtown, and you gotta give them a reason to stay at the hotel, don't you? And I do believe the hotel went out of business, but I might be wrong on that one. I don't know why you just put a hotel downtown. We are in for a very weird time, and also, like, what is going to happen with the COVID? That is a big question. Dr. Fauci gave his most direct prediction about the future of COVID.
It is becoming increasingly clear that looking forward with the COVID-19 pandemic, in the absence of a dramatically different variant, we likely are moving towards a path with a vaccination cadence similar to that of the annual influenza vaccine, with annual updated COVID-19 shots matched to the currently circulating strains for most of the population. However, some particularly vulnerable groups may continue to need more frequent vaccination against COVID-19. Now, what should we expect from our recently updated vaccines? Data from Moderna and Pfizer have shown that vaccines containing sequences from both the original SARS-CoV-1 virus and the Omicron BA.1 variant induced higher antibody titers against Omicron than did the original vaccines. These bivalent vaccines also induced higher antibody titers against all SARS-CoV-2 variants than did the original vaccines. In addition, the bivalent vaccines induced even higher levels of neutralizing antibodies in individuals who had recovered from COVID-19.
Now, they are talking about a inhaler, where you won't have to get a shot. You'll just be able to take an inhaler and get your COVID vaccine. That will be really cool. But just for anybody who may be watching on BitChute, if I clipped this, or if you're watching the replay of the live show on BitChute, I got a lot of comments about this. Yes, I am vaccinated. I am boosted. I am current on vaccinations, as you know, one would be for the recommended for my age range. Yes, I am vaccinated. The people on BitChute are very adamant that they want to know that I've been vaccinated and boosted. I get that comment constantly. I hope you took your vaccine and your 20 boosters. Constantly. Wastewater in South Africa indicates that we might be heading for a new wave. An increase in COVID-19 virus fragments and wastewater samples may indicate an impending wave of infections, the National Institute for Communicable Diseases said. If you will remember back to the summer of last year, South Africa is where, what the fuck variant were we on at this time? Which one originated down in South Africa that we had to, so like, the timelines are becoming more and more compact. But like, because once upon a time we were about 6 weeks ahead of England and Spain in case numbers. And at one point in time, we were like fucking 12 weeks ahead of Africa or some shit like that. Yeah, we still have about 500 people dying a day. Was it Delta? An increase in COVID-19 virus fragments in wastewater samples may indicate an impending wave. Increases in the frequency of samples, and the reason why it was like it was Omicron. It was first detected in South Africa, and the reason why it was first detected there was just because they wanted to like fucking pick on South Africa for some reason, like shut down travel. But more than likely, it was already circulating all over the place. South Africa was just the first one to detect it because they had the proper equipment. Because the U.S. is woefully underprepared for a pandemic. Increases in the frequency of samples in the week ended August 23rd were found at water treatment plants near the capital, Pretoria, as well as in Johannesburg and Ekurhuleni, an industrial and residential area that lies between the two cities. Increased numbers of fragments were also found in the cities of Durban and Bloemfontein, it said. I am sorry, RB. You are part of the rolling power outages due to the extreme fucking heat in California. I apologize. What did it get up to today? Like 111 or some shit? It was ungodly. I saw it earlier. Like, Jesus. What is it right now? China puts 65 million people into semi-lockdown ahead of party summit. Offices, schools, and shops to close before Congress, at which Xi Jinping expected to get a third presidential term. So China has intensified its efforts to rein in outbreaks of COVID-19 ahead of a major political meeting by placing about 65 million people under semi-lockdown, according to local media reports. Now, this is going to have effects on the global supply chain. The Chinese Communist Party will begin its 20th Congress on the 16th of October with party chief Xi Jinping, or as some people refer to him, Winnie the Pooh, widely expected to be reinstated as president for a third term. According to a report on the business portal, I'm not even going to try, Chinese cities include 33 Chinese cities, including 8 major provincial and municipal centers, have been placed under China's lowest static management tier of lockdown, disrupting the lives of an estimated 65 million residents. Unfortunately, it looks like that had an impact when an earthquake hit. Outcry as Chinese lockdown traps residents during earthquake. We actually have video of this. Looks like it happened in the city of Xinhuan. This looks like the aftermath. But it's showing that some residents in the earthquake hit Chinese city of Chengdu were stopped from fleeing their compounds due to a COVID lockdown has sparked anger and disbelief online. Do we have that footage? BBC dropping the ball over here. Where's that footage? It says this video, but it is not clickable. Come on, BBC. Do better. It's all damn British people. Yeah, this is like it says this video, but like I think this is just a picture. Yeah, it's just a picture. Somebody at the BBC tried to embed the video, but it's just a picture. Let's go over here. Let me do an actual Google search. Me and Bing have not been having a good time here lately. I'm not seeing the video they reference. Maybe it was taken down. Maybe that's why there's a screenshot. Oh God, China took it down. Jesus. I have no clue what's going on with Twitch and the ads over here. Every time I go to like snooze the ads, because it should be getting ready for them to run, it says it's preparing ads. So I don't know what's going on. Flood hit Pakistan, bids to stop its largest lake from overflowing. I cannot stress enough what a humanitarian crisis is going on in Pakistan. UN warns of humanitarian crisis in Pakistan as authorities fear more towns will be flooded if Manchar Lake bursts its banks. The United Nations was warned that the humanitarian situation in Pakistan is expected to get worse as authorities tried to prevent the country's biggest lake from bursting its banks amid unprecedented floods that have inundated a third of the South Asian nation. Authorities have tried to widen the breach at Manchar Lake in southern Sindh province to lower water levels, but that has proved to be futile so far. We have widened the earlier breach at Manchar to reduce the rising water levels. Provincial Irrigation Minister Jamkhan Soro told the Reuters news agency already 100,000 people have been displaced in efforts to keep the lake from overflowing. And if it breaches its banks, it could affect hundreds of thousands more. More than 33 million people in Pakistan have been affected by the flooding brought on by record monsoon rainfall amplified by climate change. Floods have caused at least 1,300 deaths, washed away homes, businesses, roads, and bridges. Apparently, they're having an outbreak of a waterborne disease with more rain expected in the coming month. The situation could worsen. A top official of the United Nations Refugee Agency warned, "We fear the situation could deteriorate. This will increase challenges for flood survivors and likely worsen conditions for nearly 500,000 displaced people, forcing more to abandon their homes." They produce something like 0.5% of the world's cotton, and that harvest may not happen. They also produce a good chunk of wheat. Yeah, the ads over here on Twitch are really fucked up. I have no clue what is going on over here. Like, it is not giving me control of them at all. So I'm not even going to take a break because I have no clue. Like, I'm good for right now on beverage, so I have no clue how the ads are playing for you guys. I can't. Something weird is going on Twitch. Droughts everywhere, fires everywhere, floods everywhere. You know, if I believed in the Bible, the Christians say that all the fucking time. Ow, shit. Tornadoes in places they shouldn't be at times of the year. But there shouldn't be tornadoes. We're in a very fucked up time. The climate needs to stop smoking crack.
I was on crack.
Right.
That's what the climate is saying to us right now. It's coughing and shit because it's been smoking crack. Oh, shit. We're going to move over to Canada. A Canadian manhunt continues. We're gonna let ABC News do the talking here, and I'm gonna get more high. I'm not high enough for this shit. An error has occurred. ABC News. An error occurred over here on Google too. Are the Chinese fucking with me now? Xi Jinping, I'm sorry for calling you Winnie the Pooh, dude. But you do kind of look like Winnie the Pooh. Maybe they caught the dude and it's... and it's over, and that's why that old story has been taken down. See if we can find a new one. I'm not seeing that he's been captured. As of an hour ago. Let's go to BBC since they don't want to give us video on ABC. Town shattered amid stabbings and manhunt. Oh, we got some video here. Yay.
It's terrifying. People are going to be terrified to walk out the door. You don't know. You may come back and pick another random house. Say, oh, I'm going to get this one.
We don't really have any indication on the motive. Was it brothers?
They killed an innocent man. He was a Christian. He wouldn't even hurt a fly.
One of 10 people killed in the attack. There were like 15 hospitalized. Manhunt for his suspected killer continues. There were 2.
And then we can all get some closure and maybe get a decent sleep. You don't have to be scared to open your door and to come out.
I'm not sure if they were members of the community or not. Do we have details? Let me get into the story here. Police say Miles Sanderson may have been seen on the James Smith Cree Nation. Remember, this is a rural community and it's predominantly indigenous people. Before reversing themselves hours later in a province-wide alert, he has been the target of a major police manhunt since Sunday after an attack that left 10 people dead, 18 injured. This is not including the suspects. The attack has rocked the otherwise peaceful Canadian region. Police have warned people to take appropriate precautions in an alert sent to mobile phones in the area. Tuesday's false alarm will probably do little to calm the tension felt in the indigenous community of James Smith Cree Nation, where most of the victims were found, and the nearby town of Weldon, which is mourning the loss of 77-year-old longtime resident Wes Peterson. In Weldon, a small town of some 200 residents with gravel streets, a neat grid of single-story homes, 2 churches, a post office, and corner store, most doors remain shut, though there is plenty of media present. Residents are right now pushing up against the glass, looking at their windows. Everyone is shattered. Saskatchewan police initially said on Sunday they were looking for 2 suspects, brothers, Damien, 31, and Miles, 32. Who they believed may have traveled 300 kilometers south to Regina following the attacks. On Monday, police then revealed they had Damian Sanderson's body that morning during the course of their investigation in a grassy area near a house on James Smith Cree Nation. The discovery brought the total death toll to 11. Police say his body had visible injuries not believed to be self-inflicted at this point, but police did not say whether Miles Sanderson was believed to be responsible for his brother's death. They also said they had charged both men on multiple counts, including Miles Sanderson with 3 counts of first-degree murder, despite him not being in custody. Police are confirming few details amid a complex investigation. Beyond the search for Miles Sanderson, many questions remain in the case, including what drew the violence to Mr. Peterson's doorstep. Parole documents reveal details of Saskatchewan suspect's criminal past. Let's go ahead, Warlord, with the update over here. Miles Brandon Sanderson's criminal history is both long and violent. Beginning in his youth and spanning almost 20 years with convictions for domestic violence, armed robbery, and many other violent attacks, including a double stabbing committed with a fork. So this isn't even his first stabbing. Mr. Sanderson is now wanted for 3 counts of first-degree murder in one of the deadliest acts of mass violence in the country's history. RCMP says more charges are expected. 11 people are dead after the stabbing rampage that began on James Smith Cree Nation in Saskatchewan early on Sunday morning. Among the dead are Mr. Sanderson's brother Damien, who was also a suspect in the stabbings and who had been charged with 1 count of first-degree murder before his body was discovered. 18 other people were injured in the attack. So his parole document says he was serving a 4-year, 4-month prison sentence for a number of offenses, including a violent scene at the home of his domestic partner and children, the attack with the fork, beating a man until he was unconscious, and kicking a police officer in the face. Everything else sucks, but that's pretty based. And on top of the head repeatedly. I stand that. I'm against all the murder and shit. No, Nicole, I agree with you 100%. Someone being a Christian does not necessarily mean they are good people. Matter of fact, it kind of raises my suspicion about him. Mr. Sanderson was not released from prison early. Sky Comet, good evening. But received statutory release after serving 2/3 of his sentence. By the way, Mergen Ida. There seems to be a pattern, indeed. The offenses for which Mr. Sanderson had been in prison began in the summer of 2017 when he barged into his common-law partner's house in a rage and, among other things, punched a hole in a bathroom door while the children were being hidden inside and threw a cement block at a vehicle outside. Sounds like real incel shit. Let's go over to Israel for a second. You know, it's never good when we go over to Israel. Oh shit, Sky Comet. Are you feeling down? You passed your rapid test? Oh yeah, that's right, because of your mom. Israeli army admits high likelihood that its soldier killed Al Jazeera reporter. Well, gee, thanks for that. That's what we all knew fucking months ago. The Israeli army acknowledged Monday that there was a high likelihood that a soldier killed a well-known Palestinian-American journalist working for Al Jazeera, as it announced the results of its investigation into the killing. In a briefing to reporters, a senior military official said a soldier opened fire after mistakenly identifying Shireen Abu Akleh as a militant. She was clearly marked as press. They knew exactly who she was. They targeted her on purpose. Bullshit. Provided no evidence to back up the Israeli claim that the Palestinian gunmen were present in the area and said no one would be punished. He also did not address video evidence showing that the area was quiet before Abu Akleh was shot. The conclusions were the closest Israel's come to taking responsibility for her death, and followed a series of investigations by media organizations and the United States that concluded Israel either fired or most likely had fired the deadly shot, but they were unlikely to put the matter to rest. Meanwhile, conservative Democrats, backed by AIPAC, are trying to make sure that the new Iran deal does not go through. August Democrats ramp up campaign against possible new Iran deal. A letter led by Representative Josh Gottheimer previews the talking points Iron Hawks will use to undermine Joe Biden's push to get the U.S. back into the Iran nuclear deal. The expectations of a revived Iran nuclear deal growing, Iran hawks in Congress are positioning themselves to make U.S. re-entry into the agreement a painful political ordeal, according to a draft letter circulating Capitol Hill. With President Joe Biden reportedly coming close to reviving the agreement, the letter telegraphs the opposition he could face from Congress. Such efforts would be a reprisal of the fight in 2015 when President Barack Obama worked to push through the original Iran nuclear deal and faced right-leaning pro-Israel forces in Congress, including Democrats, that tried to block it. Of course, Sky Comet, they're not going to do anything to Israel for killing one of their own citizens. And a journalist to boot. Led by conservative New Jersey Democrat and perennial obstructionist Representative Josh Gottheimer, the letter lays out a policy on the nuclear deal that, rather than reviving Obama's deal, would follow in the footsteps of President Donald Trump, who unilaterally withdrew from the deal despite an international consensus that it was working to restrain Iran's nuclear program. If you would like to read the rest of this piece from The Intercept, boom, in the comments. Joe Biden, in his speech yesterday, responded to a heckler in a very Dark Brandon kind of way. I'm digging it.
More years old, and a former Chief Justice whose family had more United States senators than any family in American history, looked at me and he said, "You obviously didn't do very well in law school, Joe." He said, "You don't have to be 30 to be elected. You have to be 29. You can be 29. You just can't get sworn in till you're 30." And so one thing led to another, and I ended up deciding to run. But I was having great difficulty getting support. Even though people liked me, or at least the labor guys liked me, they didn't think I could win. Until I got brought up to Pittsburgh by the local leader of the steelworkers in Delaware, and into Pittsburgh, and came to...
That wasn't the clip.
It's an honor to be elected as leader of the...
Oh, shut up, Liz. We already covered you. Here we go. That's why I didn't recognize the background. Like, we watched this speech yesterday, didn't we?
As I said last
the whole
week,
thing.
We remain in the battle for the soul of America. By the way, all right, God love you. Let him go. Let him go. No, don't let him go. Look, everybody's entitled to be an idiot. No, everybody's entitled.
Everyone's entitled to be an idiot. Some more than others, right, Ruby?
Do you think we're stupid? You think we're fools?
Speaking of idiots, no, I was not talking to you at all. Thank you for the food. You leave it on the counter out there. I'll get a little bit. No, I was not talking about you at all. Oh, no, I actually don't have a story about an idiot yet. We're getting... Dr. Oz is after this one. Let's talk about the midterms. I was mistaken. We're not going to talk about Dr. Oz just yet.
Record inflation, a border in constant crisis, a disastrous withdrawal from Afghanistan, and a president with a breathtakingly low...
I love how this said Roe v. Wade and student loans influencing the midterm elections. And I played, like, this has to be like a Sinclair broadcasting piece because motherfucking Greg Grungen Greg Grugan came on here just spouting some fucking nonsense like he came straight off of Newsmax.
Approval rating. It all triggered predictions of an historic Democratic setback in the midterm election. But then, on June 24th, the Supreme Court, dominated by conservatives, reversed Roe v. Wade, energizing millions of American women who found themselves stripped of a liberty many viewed as fundamental. Fast forward to August and President Biden's unilateral decision to forgive $500 billion of student debt, encumbering 43 million Americans. Panel simply put, have those two developments altered Democratic prospects on November 8th? Going straight to Mark Jones on this.
Well, I think, if we were talking about this at the start of the summer, we'd say that the Republicans were a virtual lock to have a House majority. There's still a very strong favor to have a U.S. House majority, in part due to the problems the Biden administration is still having, and in part due to some of the things that Mustafa's been mentioning. That's structural. That is the way the districts were drawn in many states and redrawn after Democratic courts effectively hamstrung their Democratic legislatures and the ability to engage in partisan gerrymandering. The end outcome is a House that still is very likely to flip to Republicans. It's not a certainty, but it's very likely. The Senate, though, I think is completely up for grabs. There are about 8 seats spread out throughout the country in places like Florida, Georgia.
I think the Democrats are going to gain at least 3. And they're looking competitive in Florida. That's amazing. Florida has been trending red over the last decade, and it looks like they could quite. Now, granted, the Charlie Crist is the gubernatorial candidate. Used to be a Republican. Conservative candidates in Florida, and then Marco Rubio's race is looking more competitive with Val Demings than what one would expect. Ron Johnson, that was his race to lose. Ron Johnson looks like he is going to lose his seat in Wisconsin, and that shouldn't happen to him. So, like, seriously, the Democrats are going to pick up about 3 seats in the Senate. I believe they may lose the House, but that's only because I believe the way it was put was like the Democrats can lose the House without losing a single seat that they hold that Biden won, right? Like, the Republicans do not have to flip a Biden district to win back the House. So that makes it seem like a little harder that they will hold the House. But still, the momentum is in their favor.
Nevada, Arizona, Wisconsin. It's there that the majority in the Senate will be determined, and it's probably likely to be a 51-49 or 50-50 division again.
All right, Keir, you heard all that. You agree with Mark?
By and large, I do. I think, Republicans are still heavily favored to take the House, though probably with a narrower margin of seats than we would have said a couple of months ago. The Senate is much more up for grabs. And one of the issues not mentioned, one of the reasons I think not yet mentioned, is candidate quality. And this is where the former specter of former President Trump hanging over the electorate still was important, because a lot of out of the mainstream candidates in states for the U.S. Senate were nominated in some part due to
out on Florida too, Mox. But like, Trump, if they're competitive there, I mean, that's more than we can ask for
going into the general election.
Warnock is such a good fucking candidate, though, man. I think he's going to pull it out in Georgia.
A much more open question. I'd probably make Democrats a narrow favor.
So you've got Stacey Abrams running for governor in Georgia. You could see high turnout based on her excellent ground game that would push both her and Warnock over the line.
To retain control, but only a narrow favorite.
Jackie, real quick here. Are you seeing Republicans peel off from supporting President Trump, those who have supported him ferociously in the past? 30 seconds.
As I've mentioned before, you have a sector of the Republican Party that are Trumpsters, and they
are indeed known for doing fuckery. However, all eyeballs are on them.
They will say either it's a conspiracy or the media has never liked him, and they have continued to support him. And then you have on the other side a lot of Republicans who are saying, well, it's time for a DeSantis or someone who has Trump-like policies but is more statesman-like. So at the ending of the day, it's always who you're running against. If we
I don't think we got anything from those political analysts other than me loving saying like Greg Grugan, motherfucker. You know what that was? It was something that was incredibly hard to find. That was the actual audio of Oz talking about incest. I had the audio ready to go. And it has been taken down. Here's the article. I want to hear it coming out of his fucking mouth. All right, you ready?
Uh-oh.
He said, yeah, I can't stop smashing my cousin. That means sleeping with.
Having sex with.
Thank you for translating that. I don't know if you knew that.
I did not know that, by
Smash.
the way.
I know last time we taught you cuffing season.
Yeah, cuffing season.
We taught you cuffing
season.
That's
right.
right.
That's
He
second
said-
language. English is the second language for me. So, okay.
Okay, so he said, I can't stop smashing my cousin. We hooked up at a young age, and now in our 20s, she still wants it. No matter how much I want to stop, I always give it to her. Help me. Now, what
Well-
advice would you give that person?
If you're more than a first cousin away, it's not a big problem.
Okay, so second cousin.
Yeah.
It's fine to smash.
Yeah.
You know, it's so funny because I knew that.
Yeah.
How did you know that?
'Cause you
I'm
smashed
from the
it?
country.
Yes, sir.
Third cousins.
Nasty, yeah, it's fine.
It's all good. Because they say
No.
first cousins, you might end up with a kid with like Down syndrome or something.
Well, it's not that. So every family has genetic strengths and weaknesses. And so the reason we naturally crave people who are not so like us is because you just have to mix the gene pool up a little bit, so that if I have one gene for, let's say, hemophilia, which is a classic example where you bleed a lot if you cut yourself, and I don't want to marry a cousin who has the same hemophilia gene, because the chance of our child having both those genes is much higher.
Okay.
But for the vast majority of problems, that it's not an issue. But that's why children, girls, don't like their father's smell. Their pheromones will actually repel their daughters, because they're not supposed to be together.
Right.
And so my daughters hate my smell.
Well, maybe you just smelled.
My wife doesn't mind my smell. My wife says she likes the smell.
My daughter loves how it smells. She always says that.
Yeah, how old is she?
6.
Yeah, you wait.
Okay.
By the time she's 12, the young women become very attuned to smell. And every time I work out, they go, "Oh, you smell." So you.
The Rudy Rule. The Rudy Rule. That is what Dr. Oz advocated for when it comes to sleeping with your cousin. The Rudy Rule.
As a conservative, it's getting harder and harder to not look like a kook.
You want another one? You want another one? Here is Dr. Oz saying that he wants to ban smoking. And not pot. There's God. What the hell? What the hell? Are you serious? Why are all Dr. Oz clips being... Oh, here we go.
You ought to hire smokers. I know it's hard to do. 21 states in this country allow private companies not to hire smokers. 29 don't. I appreciate you've all been through this and this conversation. It is, from my perspective, indefensible for us to spend 15% more money at the same time letting people hurt themselves. We have to be smarter than this. For every complex solution...
Mog's bringing the truth in here. The Rudy Rule actually comes from before Rudy went off the rails. He was still a viable political candidate, and the Rudy Rule was a thing. He is trying to lose. He is trying to lose, but at least, you know, he's doing a good job as a cardiothoracic surgeon.
Or rather, every complex problem is an easy solution. It's usually wrong. In this case, we actually have a solution that's going to be complex but will work, which is to find out ways of making it at least legal in every one of the states in America for employers not to have to hire a smoker. And if it's messaged right, I care about you, I'm here for you, I'll pay for your smoking cessation, I want to hire you, but I can't do it if you're doing this.
I don't know, like it sounded sensational when I saw this. Patriot Takes shared it out. It was shared out by Patriot Takes today. It was clearly from 2014, 2013, because it's talking about President Obama. So it is right-wingers attacking Dr. Mahmet Oz. Thoracic. She heard me fucking say it down the hall. And she got on here to correct me. Oz door on the Forward Party 24. Let's go. Thoracic surgeon. Thank you, Curiouser. Good evening, by the way. As if you haven't had enough of me already today. Now, Dr. Oz's opponent, John Fetterman, got attacked by... Yes, cancel Justin. Got attacked by Donald Trump. Trump accused Fetterman of using heroin, meth, and other hard drugs. John Fetterman is responding to baseless accusations of illicit drug use that Donald Trump made about the Democratic U.S. Senate candidate at a rally in Wilkesboro, Pennsylvania on Saturday. I want the audio of this. Where's the audio of this? Fetterman responded in an article.
Got it in a landslide, and this guy's a disaster. He comes in with a sweatsuit on. I've never seen him wear a suit. A dirty, dirty, dirty sweatsuit. It's really disgusting. You know, I'm a clean freak. Oz. I don't like those dirty sweatsuits. They're disgusting.
Now, apparently that's true. And this is everybody thought the P-tape was him getting peed on. But no. The P-tape was supposedly, and this is what makes me think that it actually is a thing, because he is a germaphobe and a clean freak. Apparently he had hookers piss on a bed that Obama slept in. He wasn't getting pissed on, that he was wanting to defile a bed that Obama slept in. And you can't tell me that doesn't sound like something a little hand-having son of a bitch like this would do. Based Fetterman indeed. All of the right-wing attacks make him sound so fucking cool.
I'm a clean freak, Oz. I don't like those dirty sweatsuits. They're disgusting. Fetterman may dress like a teenager getting high in his parents' basement. But Fetterman got it, and he got it in a landslide. And this
it didn't go on to the heroin and meth. Oh, come on, we doing it the full one?
Funded drug dens and the complete decriminalization of illegal drugs, including heroin, cocaine, crystal meth, and ultra-lethal fentanyl. And by the way, he takes them himself. Fetterman supports...
I was getting... Wait. I was getting ready to give Trump credit, be like, oh, well, he didn't actually say that. He just said that Fetterman was for the legalization, and I don't know what Fetterman's stance is on legalization, but I assume it's somewhat progressive, somewhere on the progressive scale. But no. Trump actually did say that. He right at the end, he's like, and he takes them himself. Well, sir, I was going to give you credit. But you certainly didn't earn it. Of course you didn't. A judge in New Mexico has barred an insurrectionist from the ballot.
Good afternoon. A judge has ruled that Otero County Commissioner Coy Griffin must be removed from office immediately and
removed from office
again. Judge Francis Matthew found the Cowboys for Trump founder became disqualified from holding public office on January 6, 2021, when he took part in the insurrection at the Capitol. Coy Griffin has maintained that he never entered the Capitol, never took part in any violence, and was only convicted of misdemeanor trespass. And he didn't know he couldn't stand where he did. But the citizens who brought the lawsuit seeking to remove him from office felt differently, arguing he violated the 14th Amendment by engaging in an insurrection. And the judge agreed. He ordered Griffin removed from his position as Otero County Commissioner effective immediately. We have reached out to Griffin for comment and to see if he will appeal the ruling. We have not heard back.
That was what I was getting ready to say. Unfortunately, the chances of getting a Trump-appointed judge somewhere in the appeals process is probably pretty strong. But as of right now, that's awesome. Jamie Raskin was on with CBS News to talk about the possibility of having Ginny Thomas or Mike Pence testify in front of the January 6th committee.
We're joined now by Maryland Congressman Jamie Raskin, a Democratic member of the January 6th Select Committee. Congressman, good to see you. Good morning.
Thanks so much for having me, Major.
So, former President Trump says that MAGA Republicans are trying to save democracy and they want to be taken seriously on this issue. So let's review what the former president said this week earlier.
Simp for the devil. First of all, simp for the devil. I love your face and I love your screen name. We gotta throw you some devil horns. Even though I'm a total angel over here, I promise you.
He should be reinstated in office, and that if reelected in
later this month, I do believe Scott Comment.
Apologies and full pardons to those charged and or convicted for storming the Capitol on January 6th. Evaluate that.
I'm not high enough for this shit.
If he's saying that the election should be rerun, which is something he's been asserting from the beginning, that's totally outside of the Constitution.
So I saw him in like deja vu. We heard Raskin say this very thing like a week ago when Trump made the claim again. And like I searched, like I saw somebody else say that Trump had said he needed to be reinstated today. And I searched the story, and there's just like, the dude says it like every other day that he's supposed to be reinstated. Like, it's just batshit fucking crazy. We just need to ignore him at this point.
There's no procedure for the military just to seize the election machinery and run a new election, which is one of the things that
he don't know how the fucking country runs, and he was the president.
Was pushing, and we know was part of the January 6th plot. Look. More than 60 courts rejected every claim of electoral fraud and corruption, which Donald Trump advanced. He's had the benefit of more than 60 courts, including 8 courts where he appointed the judges to office. Look at all those claims, and they were all rejected. It was rejected in the states, and he lost the election. 2 of the hallmarks of a fascist political party are, one, they don't...
Like, I feel like I want to hear about Ginny Thomas. Like, I feel like we've already heard this whole spill before.
They embrace political violence, and I think that's why President Biden was right to sound the alarm this week about these continuing attacks on our constitutional order from the outside by Donald Trump and his movement.
Let's talk about the January 6th committee. There is conversation about having...
I am sure knitting is cathartic.
...come in. He has described this committee as a Stalinist show trial. Earlier this year, he said under a Republican-led Congress, members of this committee might be arrested. How do you respond to that remark, those remarks, and what would be the value of him coming in talking to the committee?
Well, we're inviting in only people who have relevant evidence and testimony.
What's his relevant evidence and testimony?
Well, he has appeared numerous times in throughout the investigation about the attempt to propound the big lie and to keep things going long after the election had been settled. But it's interesting that
We're talking about Newt Gingrich here, the former Speaker of the House.
Are on Donald Trump's side, like Vladimir Putin, the former head of the KGB, who said that the collapse of the Soviet Union was the greatest catastrophe of the 20th century, or the dictator of North Korea, who Donald Trump writes love letters to.
Wait, no, Putin's not a Stalinist.
They should keep them on that side of the aisle because our side is fighting for democracy in America.
Does the committee still have interest in obtaining testimony from Ginny Thomas, wife of Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas?
Look, we're interested in getting testimony from anyone who has relevant evidence about the attempt to overthrow the 2020 election. Let's not lose sight of what we're talking about here.
There were disclosures this week that she was in email conversation with people in Wisconsin about that topic.
Speaking as one member and only as one member, I would...
Moggs, now, I don't think you're going to get your wish of seeing, if they do bring in Alex Jones, it'll be like how they did it before, very controlled. They'll play you clips. He's not going to be there live. They're not going to give him the live mic. But they are already in possession of his text messages. They are already in possession of all of his text messages.
I'd say she has irrelevant testimony to render, and she should come forward and give it. I don't want to overstate her role. We've talked to more than 1,000 people, but we'd like to hear from Gingrich, and we'd like to hear from her, too.
What is the probability former Vice President Pence testifies?
Well, look, Vice President Pence was the target of Donald Trump's wrath and fury in effort to overthrow the election.
It would be a hell of a spectacle, and that's why they're not going to do it.
To step outside his constitutional role and then to declare unilateral law.
And look, check this out. So Charlie Kirk shared out a clip of Alex Jones. I don't even know what the clip was from the trial. And it's like apparently Alex Jones made some joke about Hillary Clinton. And they're like, oh, he owned the judge. And people were like, yeah, Alex Jones owned the judge. He's the man. And like other right-wingers were telling them, like, no, he looked stupid in that trial. You should not be rooting him on. Other Charlie Kirk followers were calling them out. That no, Alex Jones looked incredibly stupid in the trial.
Powers to reject electoral college votes from the states. So I think he has a lot of relevant evidence, and I would hope he would come forward and testify about what happened.
Voluntarily or via subpoena?
Well, we're trying to get everybody to come forward voluntarily.
But the subpoena is not out of question.
In no one's case is a subpoena out of question.
I'm not sure the interview you're talking about, Ray.
Forward and testify voluntarily, the way the vast majority of people have.
One of the mandates of this committee is to create legislation. 10 Republicans on the Senate side have signed on to an Electoral Count Act revision. Is there a bill on the House side? Will there be? And do you expect this to be updated and resolved legislatively, either before the midterms or in the lame duck session?
Well, we want to take a much broader view, I think. The narrowest thing you could say is, well, the vice president doesn't have the power to unilaterally rebuff electoral college votes from the states.
Clarify that.
But if that's all we do, in a certain sense, it's validating Donald Trump's argument that there was any ambiguity about it in the first place, which there was not. No vice president had ever tried to reject electoral college votes, and Mike Pence and
don't have the power.
Said it was ridiculous. So I think we need to take a much broader view about Donald Trump's attack on.
Okay, like I can see how you see Raskin as disappointing, but he's actually been very good. Like when we watched the impeachment and during hearings, Raskin is pretty good.
Defend the right to vote and democracy itself.
Does that mean the Senate bill would be unacceptable in the House?
No, I think.
And then, he was a prosecutor, wasn't he?
It's a good first offer, but I think we need to look far more systematically at what Donald Trump was trying to do. And we've seen, for example, when he called Secretary of State Brad Raffensperger and said, just find me, 11,781 votes, when they tried to intimidate election officers. This was a far more sweeping plot than just what happened in the last couple hours there.
We have less than a minute.
Oh, are you talking about the Greenwald? It wasn't an interview. It was like a promotion for that stupid movie. I didn't watch that.
That was an important an important dimension of everything that was happening. This was a Donald Trump operation, so it was always an effort to keep.
But will that be part of the
in.
public presentation of the committee coming forward?
It will undoubtedly be part of our report, and whether it comes up again in the hearings, I can't say yet because we're still working all of that out.
There is much anticipation in the nation's capital, possibly across the country, in the report propounded by the committee. When can the country expect to see that?
Well, certainly by the end of the year, because, we're like Cinderella at midnight. Our license runs out at the end of the year. But under House Resolution 503, that's
when do we get more hearings?
To report to the American people about how to prevent coups, insurrections, political violence, and attacks on our democratic process going forward.
Maryland Congressman James.
So no word yet on when the next January 6th hearing will be. But let's go a little bit further into the movement to impeach Clarence Thomas. AOC has been hardcore behind this. What a Supreme Court impeachment from 1805 could mean for Clarence Thomas. This is according to a historian, Alex Henderson, printed in Alternate yesterday. This was yesterday. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez of New York City has been calling for the impeachment of U.S. Supreme Court Justice Clarence Thomas, arguing that in the light of his wife Ginny Thomas's effort to overturn the 2020 presidential election results, he has no business taking part in cases that are related in any way to the January 6, 2021 insurrection. But fellow House Democrats, for the most part, haven't been receptive to AOC's recommendation, although they agree that Thomas should recuse himself from any January 6 related cases. Like presidents, U.S. Supreme Court justices can be impeached in the United States. Members of the House of Representatives have the power to impeach a Supreme Court justice and give members of the U.S. Senate articles of impeachment to be considered in an impeachment trial. But impeaching high court justices is even more of a rarity in U.S. history than impeaching presidents. 4 U.S. presidents have been the targets of articles of impeachment: Andrew Johnson, Richard Nixon, Bill Clinton, and Trump. Although in Nixon's case, there was never a trial in the Senate, Nixon, during the Watergate scandal in August of 1974, resigned before the impeachment process got that far. But as presidential historian author Lindsay M. Chervinsky explains in an article published by the conservative website The Bulwark, only one U.S. Supreme Court justice has faced impeachment in the country's 246-year history, Samuel Chase, and that was back in 1804, 1805, when Thomas Jefferson was president. On February 4th, 1805, Vice President Aaron Burr gavelled into session the impeachment trial of Justice Samuel Chase for high crimes and misdemeanors. The stakes were impossibly high. No Supreme Court justice had ever been impeached. I mean, you say ever, but we'd only been a country 25 fucking years at the time. Every decision would establish precedent and shape the future proceedings, so the aftermath of the trial lasted far longer than the participants could have possibly imagined. Down to the present day, our ideas about impeachment and its role in the justice system can be directly traced to Chase's trial over 200 years ago. Chervinsky continues, Chase certainly made an excellent target. Outside of his family, no one liked him. When George Washington nominated Chase to the High Court in 1796, many Federalists questioned whether he had the temperament to serve as a justice. Even though he belonged to their party, his cantankerous and porous nature were so extreme that it earned him the nickname Old Bacon Face. Old Bacon Face. Bad humor was one thing, but Chase's behavior on the bench was also highly partisan. He had campaigned openly for John Adams in 1800 and relished handing down extreme sentences to defendants accused of sedition against the Adams administration. 1804, Chervinsky notes, the U.S. House of Representatives voted 73-32 to impeach Chase, and in 1805, Chase was acquitted on every charge in the Senate trial. Chase remained on the High Court until his death in 1811 at the age of 70. If I remember correctly, it came down to one vote in the Senate. Old Bacon Face. The only U.S. Supreme Court justice to be impeached, though he was not convicted. And it could have been Johnson that came down to one vote. I may be conflating the two. If you'd like to finish reading this piece about the history of impeachment in the Supreme Court, boom, into comments. Old Bacon Face. Move over to Georgia, where we have new information in Trump's scheme to steal the election.
Newly released video shows a Republican county official escorting people inside a South Georgia election office on the same day that county's election system was allegedly breached. The video raises a number of questions, including why they allegedly copied the voting software and whether it will compromise the election 8 weeks from today. 11 Alive's Doug Richards has more on why this matters.
Well, Jennifer, for about as long as there has been computerized voting, critics have said that it's vulnerable to hackers. This video seems to show evidence of how that can happen. The video shows a local Republican leader named Kathy Latham at the Coffee County, Georgia.
It's always the Republicans. Why is that?
The door and allowing in several people who stayed inside for hours with access to the county's computerized voting system.
And they just let them in. Said, come on in. And they copied everything. And then after they copied everything, they took it back and they put it onto the internet for other people to make copies of.
Bruce Brown represents plaintiffs who have for the last 4 years challenged the state's Dominion election computers in court, arguing along with numerous tech experts that computerized election systems are vulnerable to hackers. And Brown says this video shows the hackers who made images of Coffee County's system in January 2021. Folks, he says, were likely hired by Trump attorney Sidney Powell. Though the 2020 election is settled, Brown says the hack in Coffee County threatens Georgia's upcoming election.
People got in there and made forensic copies of the entire suite of election software that is used statewide. And so it's a big concern because now copies of that software have been made available to any number of people anywhere in the world.
Brown says the state can fix this because state law allows the state to sideline computerized voting and switch to hand-marked paper ballots for this coming election.
Do it.
The state officials have fought to keep computerized voting, which the state paid hundreds of millions of dollars to acquire, and which they say voters like using.
Election integrity, motherfuckers.
Though no comment from them today.
At least in that precinct, fucking switch to paper ballots. I don't see any reason why you wouldn't. Of course the Republicans did that and accused the other side of what you were guilty of. Of course. The former Attorney General of the United States, Bill Barr, said something we're all going to agree with. Appointing a special master in the Donald Trump investigation was wrong. Bill Barr says the judge was wrong to appoint a special master in the Mar-a-Lago investigation, as Trump requested, and urges the government to appeal the decision. This was Trump's Attorney General. Former Attorney General William Barr on Tuesday disputed a federal judge's ruling to appoint a special master to review records the FBI seized last month from Mar-a-Lago. The opinion, I think, was wrong, and I think the government should appeal it, Barr, who was Attorney General under the Trump administration, told Fox News. It's deeply flawed in a number of ways. I don't think the appointment of the special master is going to hold up, but even if it does, I don't see it fundamentally changing the trajectory. I think the fundamental dynamics of the case are set, Barr continued. The government has very strong evidence of what it really needs to determine whether charges are appropriate. The former president's own attorney general is talking about charges. Barr's comments come after U.S. District Judge Aileen Cannon, a Trump appointee, on Monday granted Trump's request to appoint a special master to review the evidence the FBI seized from Mar-a-Lago on August 8th. The decision temporarily halts the Department of Justice from reviewing the documents, delivering a win to Trump, who has condemned the raid. Oh, here is Barr. I didn't know he had the video.
I think was wrong, and I think the government should appeal it. It's deeply flawed in a number of ways. I don't think the appointment of a special master is going to hold up. But even if it does, I don't see it fundamentally changing the trajectory. In other words,
it's a stall tactic.
So much as maybe we'll have a rain delay for a couple of innings. But I think that the fundamental dynamics of the case are set, which is the government has very strong evidence of what it really needs to determine whether charges are appropriate, which is government documents were taken, classified information was taken and not handled appropriately, and they are looking into, and there's some evidence to suggest that they were deceived. And
I mean, he's telling this to a Fox News audience, the former attorney general for the president in question.
None of that really relates to the content of documents. It relates to the fact that there were documents there, and the fact that they were classified, and the fact that they were subpoenaed and never delivered. But they don't have to show the content, the specific advice given in a memo, for example, in order to prevail in this case. So I think it's not really going to change the decision.
So you think the special master will be overturned on appeal by the DOJ?
I think if DOJ appeals eventually, it'll be overturned.
How long will that take?
Well, that's why it could be delayed. I hope they expedite it, but it could take several months to get that straightened out.
So
I don't know. Like he was in obscurity before they like fucking dug him up for the attorney general appointment. They searched him out just because they thought that he would carry water for Trump. And in the end, he ended up doing the right thing. It was weird. Like, he covered for Trump the entire time, and then at the very end, he grew a spine. Former FBI official believes that Trump judge could try and get all the agents thrown off the case. Now, we're going to MSNBC for a little of the liberal copium. So do keep that in mind.
At the hour, some of our favorite reporters and friends. Charlie Savage is here, New York Times Washington correspondent, author of a definitive piece of reporting about this very moment. Frank Figliuzzi is also here, former FBI assistant director for counterintelligence. Both
Figliuzzi is who we want to hear from.
Charlie, you have the reporting that really, frankly, Bill Barr makes some of the same points that some of the experts you talked to, but they don't have any sort of political affiliation or association. Take us through your reporting on yesterday's decision.
Sure. Well, I called many experts in criminal law, white-collar law, who are constitutional law, separation of powers experts, people who've dealt with special masters as former prosecutors, as defense attorneys, and I could not find anyone who was a serious lawyer immersed in this area who thought this was a correct decision. As your intro pointed out, people thought that the extension of a special master to executive privilege was unprecedented and just without legal basis. The Executive Justice Department is part of the executive branch. A former president, not a current one, is asserting this. The current one is not backing him on that. Supreme Court rulings from Nixon in 1974 and 1977 say that
Bill Barr probably is one of Biden's reasonable Republicans. You're right, Moggs.
Information that is needed from criminal investigators.
Who did some heinous things while he was in office, both with HW and Trump.
And also undercut a former president's ability to assert executive privilege successfully when the current one is not backing him, as Nixon tried to do in 1977. And so a special master has never been used for this purpose before. And this could cause a lot of mischief in the investigation if it goes forward and they do not appeal at least that section of it.
I mean, I guess I'm in on the CNN boycott because I don't watch it fucking anyway. I've already been boycotting it.
Took some time to make her decision.
I mean, like,
everyone,
other than the clips we play on this show, which I mean, I don't play any more CNN clips than I do MSNBC or Fox clips. And to be honest with you, I don't play much of any of them. I think maybe we play more Fox clips just because it's funny. And I want to get like the right wing take on things, so we go to the 5 and we get Faulkner Harris or Harris Faulkner. Hey, motherfucking her name Faulkner Harris. She looks like a Faulkner. I was big on the Gutfeld there for a little while, but then I got tired of Gutfeld. 01 first. What's going on, my friend? Criminal number 45.
who's working on this.
That sounds like a fun wine you can go and purchase. A criminal number 45, age 45 years.
This investigation has already read or looked at most of these documents, except some that the FBI itself has.
No, I guess it wouldn't be age 45 years. It'd be from
to prevent the team from looking at because
year
they
45
might
from
attorney-client
year
privilege, which is a much more normal thing
1945.
for a special master to look at.
Look over
And
me.
so she comes back
stoned.
now at a special master's recommendation and says, "Oh, they should never have seen any of this stuff because it involves White House deliberations or something like that." Even though that's not been found by any court ever until now, as I mentioned. That means all of the people on that investigative team, all the prosecutors, all the agents who've been working on this case are tainted. And she may then say they all have to be removed and disqualified, and entirely different people need to be brought in who aren't tainted by having seen this material. So you can see the potential for disruption as well as delays as they wait for a special.
Yes, guys. The tragedy is not CNN. The tragedy is them ruining HBO, which is apparently going to happen. I don't want to see HBO go down the toilet. Also, like, I'm worried for DC fans. And I myself am a DC fan. I watched the Batman. So hey, like, fucking, like, I am very worried about what's going to become of HBO in that merger.
Master to be chosen, and then to go through more than 11,000 pages of material, and then to have fights over this stuff, and then appeals of those fights. This is a significant snarl.
Frank Figluzzi, I don't mean to be glib about Bill Barr.
I had major problems with the Batman. Yes, Merkin. Yes. Batman Begins was good. The Dark Knight was pretty good. The Batman was all right. I had my issues with it. Okay, like fucking the Commissioner Gordon guy. It was like a fucking Jordan Peele. Fucking Jordan Peele doing a character on Key and Peele trying to mock a Commissioner Gordon. Name one good non-Batman DC movie. Hold on. I'm sending that to, and my buddy, he is going, he loves every fucking comic book movie. He thinks they're all fucking great. So, like, I'm gonna see what his reaction is. Name one good non-Batman DC movie. See what response we get. This is Battle Opossum I'm messaging. Cause I don't know. I ain't seen no Wonder Woman. I liked the Watchmen TV show. I've not seen the movie. That was good. Watchmen was good. I liked Man of Steel, the very first Superman. I watched it before Batman versus Superman, and it got me hyped. I was like, that's a good movie. Once again, I had my issues with it. There were certain things that I thought were fucking stupid, but overall, I could suspend my disbelief with Man of Steel. Man of Steel was all right. Sky Comet, the one thing I watched Batman Begins, that's the one I've watched the most recently, probably. Well, no, I'd say the Batman's the one I watched most recently. But Batman Begins, I don't like the way they kind of made the Scarecrow impotent, and I didn't like that. He took a back seat to I always fuck his name, Ra's al Ghul, or whatever the fuck. Battle of Opossum says Wonder Woman was a good movie. Oh Oh shit, RB, I'm glad you brought up Chris Pine, because we're going to be talking about Chris Pine. Chris Pine shows up in not one but two stories, and I don't even know who the fucker is. Yeah, let's move on with the special master. We've heard all we're gonna get out of it. We're going to the nonsense now. Let's go to the nonsense. Trump tried to pay for a lawyer with a horse. Trump attempted to pay attorney with a horse. Upcoming book says. So once again, it's from a book. They're being salacious. They're wanting to sell books. But still, that's fucking funny. Reputed attorney stiffer Donald Trump once tried to pay a lawyer with a horse, according to a new book by New York Times David Enrich. In a segment of Servants of the Damned, giant law firms, Donald Trump and the Corruption of Justice, reported Monday by The Guardian, Trump owed $2 million to a lawyer at a white shoe firm in the 1990s. The lawyer showed up unannounced at Trump Tower to confront Trump. I'm not going to pay your bill. I'm going to give you something more valuable, Trump replied, according to the book, due out later this month. What on earth is he talking about? The lawyer wondered. I have a stallion, Trump continued. It's worth $5 million. Trump rummaged around in a filing cabinet and pulled out what he said was a deed to a horse. He handed it to the lawyer. Wait, what? Jackson Hinkle was on Tucker? Ooh. Whoosh. I'm not gonna say, like, I know nothing about Whoosh's politics, but Whoosh has been nothing but nice to me. He's been so fucking cool to me. But I've also never really watched him. He had on that Rose girl, and she was like a radical centrist trans, like, and man, that was painful. And I ended up interacting with her. I did this whole segment about it. That's my exposure to Whoosh. I watched that, and he was nice to her, at least. He was a lot nicer to her than I was. This isn't the 1800s. You can't pay me with a horse. You can't pay me with a horse, the dude told Trump. You guys brought up Chris Pine. I don't know who he is. But he is playing a character in a new movie. Chris Pine's Don't Worry Darling character is based on Jordan Peterson, a hero to the incel community. Olivia Wilde has cited films such as Inception and The Truman Show as inspiration for her psychological thriller Don't Worry Darling. Apparently, right-wingers are all upset about this. They moved on from She-Woman twerking now. She-Hulk. She-Woman. She-Woman. They moved on from She-Hulk twerking to this. Wilde told fellow actor-turned-director Maggie Gyllenhaal during a conversation for Interview Magazine that Chris Pine's character was inspired by Jordan Peterson.
Up yours, woke moralists. We'll see who cancels who.
He's the Canadian author and media personality described by Wilde as this pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Pine stars in Don't Worry Darling as Frank, the founder of a utopian 1950s community in the desert known as the Victory Project. Wilde's film, written by her Booksmart collaborator Katie Silberman, centers on Florence Pugh's Alice, a Victory Project housewife who discovers her idyllic community is harboring dark secrets. Trailers for Don't Worry Darling have positioned Pine's Frank as the film's antagonist. Now, Jordan Peterson has had at least one thing to say. I'm sure he's going to have a lot more to say. He's going to milk this for as much content as he can, but he's only written something thus far. I'm sure we will get interviews of him crying over it shortly. We just have to wait on that. I did look for some audio, and it's not out yet. Jordan Peterson hits back at director Olivia Wilde over this insane man comments. Pine has a reputation as quite an attractive man, so that could be worse. Peterson in a lengthy statement provided to the National Post. No, Pine has a reputation as quite an attractive man, so that could be worse. I also hope that Chris Pine at least does the sartorial splendor of my very formal public wardrobe justice as he glories in me in the latest bit of propaganda disseminated by the woke, self-righteous bores and bullies who now dominate. I'm not being slow enough. I am not getting the cadence correct. Give me a 6 on the pitch, like a 3 on the cadence. Of course, nothing is seen as it seems in Victory, and Alice, the protagonist, played by Florence Pugh, questions the situation in the town where she lives with her husband Jack, played by Harry Styles. Pine's villain, Wilde, said in a recent Q&A with Interview Magazine, is based on Peterson. We base that character on this insane man, Jordan Peterson, who is a pseudo-intellectual hero to the incel community. Wilde described incels as disenfranchised, mostly white men who believe they are entitled to sex from women. They do indeed. They believe that society has now robbed them and that the idea of feminism is working against nature and that we must be put back into the correct place. This National Post piece actually does a good job. They did a better job of detailing her comments than the other piece we were reading, but I didn't keep reading the other one. Once again, back to Peterson. I am currently, just to set the record straight, Professor Emeritus at the University of Toronto. Among those not pseudo-intellectual themselves, who constitutes professor and member there of a department of psychology, which is in the top 15 such departments worldwide. He points to his author and co-authorship of more than 100 objectively influential research papers. What about host mode going away? No, they let him resign or retire or whatever, and then gave him like a fucking nominal post, so he'd shut the fuck up. Oh shit! But like, I don't think that he gets the idea that, you know, it's just somewhat based on him. Like, it's not that it's an actual portrayal of him. But I guess at the premiere of this movie or whatever is where our next story comes from. It's the thing that has taken the internet by storm, which is, did Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine? So Harry Styles on your right, Chris Pine on the left. Can I slow it down for you? I can't set the speed on Twitch or Twitter. God damn it. Let me give you the frame here. Right here. You see Harry Styles supposedly spitting on Chris Pine's hand. This has been the debate of the internet over the last couple of days. Whether Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine's hand. And I wanted to mock Jordan Peterson since this was a thing. I just tied them together. You got a problem with it? Cancel Harry. I don't think he did it. Watch it in full speed. I mean, he's smiling. Like, if somebody spit in my hand, I wouldn't be smiling at him and shit. Yeah, who cares indeed, Sky Comet. It's fun. We're at the fun part. I gave you 2 hours of news. Now we mocked Jordan Peterson, and we're gonna watch the video of the Harry Styles spitting. I've also I put the Harry Styles spitting in the thumbnail because it's part of the news. Like, it's part of the attraction. Maybe somebody will stop by for Harry Styles that wasn't gonna watch news content. Apparently, he didn't know where his sunglasses were, and then realized that they were in his lap. Well, if this isn't enough for you, I have another angle. If this isn't enough for you, I have another angle. We have another angle of the. Do you guys remember the episode of Seinfeld where Keith Hernandez spit on Kramer? I and see, there doesn't look to be any animosity there. This is a longer clip. But it's a much different angle. I lost people. People left because I played Harry Styles. Also, I kind of like Harry Styles has got some bangers, by the way. I do not see any kind of spit. Yeah, Mox, I'm on the no spit train. I'm on the no spit train, and I think CM Punk is also a work. Like, this whole CM Punk got into a fight with the Young Bucks and shit, I think it's a work. Warlord rules no spitting. That would be the frame in question. It doesn't look like he purposely stopped. He's continuing his motion of sitting down. It's not like. Plus, Harry Styles seems cool. Like, he's got some bangers. He wears dresses on stage. Check him out. Like, he's cool. Harry Styles is cool. What was he in? One Direction or the Jonas Brothers or some shit like that? Never thought I'd be like, oh shit, one of them are cool. But like, I need to learn my lesson because, you know, sometimes they are cool. Harry Styles, cool motherfucker. Do we use the controversy to drive up interest in the movie? Like, fucking, this is organic though. I'm pretty sure, maybe. Because I don't think like there's somebody that was sitting in a boardroom that was like, we'll make it look like Harry Styles spit on Chris Pine, and then that will cause controversy. I don't think. He was in One Direction, wasn't he? I don't know. He was in some kind of band like that. Oh, I don't. Yeah, we want the Google. We're done with the band. What kind of fucking off-brand Google I had. Yeah, using One Direction. Apparently he started off on X Factor. But no, he's pretty fucking cool. Drake, like, Harry Styles will be like, you know, in 10, 15 years, maybe less than that, like, he'll be like, you know, your Super Bowl halftime performance, you know. He's gonna be like a really big pop artist, probably. Like, I mean, he is One Direction was like a boy band, yeah. Like, it not the like late 90s, early 2000 boy bands that were like popular when I was in high school. Like, it was like the rejuvenated kind of boy band thing that happened in like the late 2000s. Zoomer Timberlake, yes. Only he seems way cooler than Justin Timberlake, because Justin Timberlake's kind of a dick. Fuck, like, I'm on Team Janet on the whole thing. Like, he like, I don't know how big of a hand he had in it, but like, people around him helped ruin Janet Jackson's career, and she didn't deserve it for any of that shit. Once again, let's talk about something that was designed to generate controversy. Let's not act like everybody wasn't in on that. They shouldn't have fucking took it out on the black woman. Janet Jackson got the shaft, and I'm glad she got to have like a Glastonbury fucking set a couple of years ago, like a little renaissance. Harry wears a dress quite often. It didn't. Did it ruin her? She was persona non grata for 10, 15 years. Like, she had a resurgence like right around 2015, 2016. I wouldn't recommend listening to One Direction, but go listen to some Harry Styles. Harry Styles is cool. I like Harry Styles. Here is a chimpanzee that escaped from a Ukrainian zoo. It sounds like it's got some stupid music under it. Is that just the... Yeah, it's got some stupid ass music under it. Justin Timberlake's a dick. I used to like Justin Timberlake too, but like, Justin Timberlake's a dick. Apparently, this ape did not want to go back to its zoo where it escaped from in Ukraine. But you're gonna see the cutest thing here in just a second. He's adorable. I wouldn't want to go back either, brother. I don't want you caged up. But also, you're probably not fit to be out in the wild anymore because you've been caged up. You poor thing. You can see the rain clouds up there. It's starting to get a little overcast. He needs a raincoat. He needs a raincoat. Make sure he don't get wet. Look how cute he is, and he's got his slick on. Look how cute he is. You can get his other hand into it. There we go, buddy. Oh, we gave her a hug. Oh, now they're riding back on a bike. Oh, man. Oh, that was adorable. Hey, everybody likes some dick in the box. Oh, goddamn.
You live in sexual anarchy?
You heard it. Let's see who we got on right now. Where are we going? Let's go to... Let's go see Squid. If you're watching on Twitch, hopefully this works, because as I said, Twitch has been acting weird for me tonight. If you're watching on Twitch, we're going to head over. We're going to raid Squid. Go ahead, light one up, tip one back. It's all right to have a little fun before you hit the sack. I'm Justin FREAKIN. We will see you tomorrow night on the Troll Patrol Live.